topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the host and their guests, and not those of W4CS Radio, its employees, or affiliates. W4CS makes no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening to the Cancer Support Network on W4CS.com.
It's Arthi with Light Up Your Life, and can you believe that it's almost the end of February? I feel like I keep having these same conversations where I keep saying we're almost at the end of, we're at the beginning of. So time is ever evolving and time is moving, and I guess we're learning to make the best of it. And speaking of time, it's officially been a year since I have gotten this beautiful, blessed opportunity to be here on our Talk for Media platform, and how time flies. I actually have to say that it's been one of my most memorable moments from the last few years, is starting this journey on doing this. I've met some incredible people, I continue to meet incredible people, and who get to share their stories, and so what a blessing it is. And I feel like if you can impact one person with a story, I feel like that one person, I know we're always talking about massive amounts of change through massive amounts of people, but I think even if you empower and help change one person's life and that story and the trajectory for their lives, I think it's pretty magical. So anyways, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I just encourage those of you who have ever thought of doing something like, or maybe never even considered, I never in 1,000 years thought this was something I ever wanted to do. But I just encourage you to look inside, figure out if it is something, and just jump in. I remember when I started, I just did, I did a quick, my own on Anchor. I started with just like an audio podcast, one of these 1-minute segments during the pandemic to help parents and families with just like 1 to 2 minute tips. And then I started going on others' podcasts. And then when I reached out to Dean Piper, and I don't even remember how this story started, but when I reached out to him, he asked me if I would consider doing my own podcast. And so I wanted to thank him from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity. And then our production assistant, who's always behind the scenes, who's so great, Roxy. So I wanted to acknowledge them for all that they continue to do to make this happen. Well, with no further ado, today we have the privilege of having a guest by the name of Terri Jay, and she also calls herself, which I can't wait to dig into, Cowgirl Shaman. And so Terri has a lot of great background in the field of energy work and energy healing. And part of it is the fact that I am so in love with energy work and energy healing. And I know that many of you have really delved into it and want to learn more. And she's been doing it for a number of years. She's got great experience, and her website will speak for itself because of the testimonials of all the lives that she's touched. So we'll be talking a little bit. I can't wait to ask her about the medical intuitive and intuition piece. I think that's a really important segment to bring up. And Terri also does work with chakras, or I know we pronounce it chakras, but chakras, which are based in Eastern philosophy. And she really brings the point to how we have to release some stagnant negative energy in our chakras to allow for, and that where our emotions get lodged and how we can release. So I'm excited about asking about that. And of course, I already mentioned that cowgirl shaman. And many of you are, as you delve in, are learning about different modalities and knowing that these have existed for thousands of years. So with no further ado, I welcome Terri onto our show for today.
Thanks for having me. It's really an honor to be here.
Thank you. I love your backdrop.
Oh, thank you. That's the view out my window.
No, for real?
For real. Yeah, that's the Sierra Nevada mountains. I'm in Carson Valley.
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
Yep, they are.
Those of you who are tuning in or when you watch the recording, I really want you to just take a moment and take that scenery in. I really thought, Terri, that was your backdrop, like a painting or a...
Well, it is, but we took a picture of the mountains across the valley and then mounted it. So it is.
But it's an actual like rep of something that exists for you, which is amazing.
Yes. The mountains are very grounding.
Yes. And I love mountain meditation. It's one of my favorites, or mountain pose, because you don't have too much but ground your feet.
Right. And the other side of those mountains is Lake Tahoe.
The commercialized Lake Tahoe, huh?
It's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
It's on my list. It's on my list to go visit. I actually haven't, and I really look forward to doing that. So Terri, can you start by sharing your journey? Like, how did you get into this field? How long have you known that this is what you wanted to do? Did you have roadblocks in getting to the, which we all do? I feel like sometimes we do other things and then it keeps appearing.
Well, I was doing horseback therapy with disabled kids in 1990. And I picked a kid up out of his wheelchair and put him on the back of one of my horses. And he said, "Ouch, I have a cramp in my hip." And I said, "You have a cramp? Well, here, sit this way. It'll take the cramp out." That's pretty normal with a CP child. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, you can hear me." And I looked and I said, "Of course I can hear you." It didn't dawn on me at the time that he was completely nonverbal. So we continued with our lesson, and he was chattering away about school and the school play and his little girlfriend and all kinds of things that had nothing to do with the horseback therapy. So I took him off the horse and put him back in his wheelchair, and he went back to class. And the gal that was helping me said, "Boy, he sure is talking great." And I said, "Well, he's very bright. Just because he has CP doesn't necessarily mean that he has any cognitive disabilities." And she looked at me and she said, "Terri, he didn't say a word. He can't remember." And I always joke that if I was a horse, I would have done a buck fart snort, because they do all three of those things at one time when they're spooked. And I was spooked. So I went into the classroom and they put a band on his head with a pointer, and he had typed out, "Horse lady can hear me." So I had instant confirmation that I was in fact hearing telepathic communication. And so when I went back outside and I shared with my volunteer what had happened in the classroom, she just very matter of fact said, "Well, you ought to learn to communicate with the horses because all animals are telepathic. And then wouldn't that make the program really safe?" And so that was what I wanted to do, is just do animal communication. And you know how it goes. Man plans, God laughs, right?
Truth.
Yes. So just along the way of doing readings, it's like I would do a reading on somebody and get their health problems. I do a reading on somebody else and hear their deceased relatives. And so it just expanded and expanded to where the only things I won't do now are predictions, because they're unethical, and police work because it's negative. Other than that, I do everything. And it's really fun. It's really fun.
That's amazing.
But see, all of us have these abilities. We're born with them. We're born with intuition, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and claircognizance. And then we shut them off in childhood, probably because we spook somebody. We spook an adult. And then they go, "Oh, you're either lying or you have an overactive imagination." And so we shut it off. So this isn't learning something new. These are not gifts. It's just turning them back on. And I love teaching it. That's why I have the book. about learning how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I went on and on, there were more and more requests for me to look at medical issues. And people just do not get that we're 99% energy and only 1% physical. So why is all of allopathic medicine focused on the 1%? Why isn't energy healing mainstream? Why isn't it a part of, why doesn't insurance cover it? Because if they really want people to heal, you have to have that included in your protocols. You do.
Amen. Like, that's so true. It's so true. When we talk about, the whole person, and we negate the fact, I mean, you just said it, at the cellular level. What is it at the cellular level? It's energy, vital energy for, what is breath? What is it all?
Right.
Yeah, 100%. And then we're acting like, you're right. Exactly. When we write the RXs and they only work for a temporary Band-Aid, but they don't fix it for the long haul, right?
Right. And people don't realize, most of the time, we're really good at stuffing emotions. We are really good at it. And we're taught to do that. It's like if you're grieving, people think you have a disease. They don't even want to be near you because I don't know what to say. And I don't know how to act around them if they're grieving. And so it just makes it worse.
It's so true, right? So
Sure.
all of these cycles of isolation that we do, as grief is one of them. I can tell you, I'm like, like, people don't want to talk to you, right? They just,
Yep.
like I said, they don't know what to say. And then somehow they feel like that negative energy is going to also, right? Whatever it is, those emotions are going to come onto them.
Right.
Yeah. So that's so true. I feel like we have been caught up. Terri, can you please define, because some people actually, as they're merging into this work or want to know more and learning about this whole field in energy medicine and energy healing, can you describe intuition from your lens, clairvoyance from your lens? Yeah.
Intuition to me is knowledge without thinking, without conscious thought. Is when you just get a feeling about something. It's so fascinating to me because people say, well, I just had a gut feeling about it, to trust that intuition. And what we don't realize is physically, we have a nerve bundle behind the stomach. And that nerve bundle acts like a freaking antenna. And so we're picking up on stuff all the time. There isn't one of us that hasn't thought about somebody that we haven't heard from in a long time. We think about them, the phone rings and it's them. And we go, I was just thinking about you. So everybody's doing this anyway. So my encouragement is broaden your horizons, learn how to do all of this. And as far as the Claire sisters is what I call them, clairvoyance is clear viewing or clear seeing. That we do with the third eye, which is in the middle of your forehead. Claircognizance is clear knowing. Of course, we think of cognition as thoughts. And, again, clair just means clear. Clairaudience is clear hearing, think auditory. And the information doesn't go into your ears, it goes into the auditory processing area of the brain, which is right above the ears. And then clairsentience, think of us as being a sentient being, that we have feelings. So when we get feelings, clear feelings about something, it can either be something tactile where we actually feel it, on our skin or, on our bodies. But then we also have our feelings. We can pick up on somebody else's feelings too.
Yeah.
And we all have all of that. That's what people forget. You're born with all of these. These are not gifts. Every time somebody on TV goes, oh, yes, I have gifts, I just want to go, big eye roll, big eye roll. No, you don't. These are abilities. I think people that do music or art, those people are gifted. This is everyday stuff that anybody can do. It really is.
Well, see, and I love that you bring up the fact that it is accessible to everyone, as just knock, knock, open it up, right? So, yeah. And that is so true. Like we do, right? I am gifted. I discovered my gift when I was 4, right? Or when people use that language, then they feel like that they will never be able to access it, versus where you're saying, no, actually it's all within you.
Yeah. And that's why that was my first book. My first book is, I got to get this out here. I got to get it out for everybody so that they can read it and practice it and learn it. And I do workshops too to teach people how to do it. And, because of COVID, I was doing individual workshops where we were doing them on Skype or FaceTime or something like that. But we were still doing it.
That's awesome. Okay, Terri, yes. Okay, sorry, I have so many questions.
That's okay.
Can you talk about so where did you come up, where the nickname Cowgirl Shaman come in, and can you describe what, like, the shamanic movement in terms of how ancestral it is and the roots behind it, and maybe the fact that so many people are so interested, but they don't necessarily get it?
Well, I think of a shaman as being a go-between between the worlds. The other side isn't somewhere else. It's right here. It just has a different frequency. It's like turning the dial on a radio. It just has a different frequency. The other side does. So a shaman in some ways is a go-between between the worlds. That's why I love doing medium readings. And I do them for animals and people. So it's just a hoot. It really is. And then cowgirl is, I've been a horsewoman my whole life, a professional horsewoman. I did horseback therapy for over 35 years. I've done all kinds of things professionally with horses my whole life. And so to me, it sort of creates a dichotomy because I'm this down-to-earth cowgirl that works in the ethers. So it just creates that, maybe anomaly is a better word.
Yeah, but the ethers are so, it is like the idea behind it. And I love that you're talking about horses, because horses are such an intuitive animal, in my opinion.
Oh, they really are. They really are. And I've had some weird things happen. Like my friend Linda, who died, walked into one of my horses. My horse changed overnight. Walk-ins happen all the time with reincarnation. And she changed overnight. She went from being this very dull, la-di-da-di-da horse to this incredibly obnoxious horse. And Linda was obnoxious. I loved her dearly, but I still love her. But this horse all of a sudden started doing zippers on your jacket. She'd do the Velcro on your sleeves and gloves. She'd give you a facial. Just overnight became so obnoxious. It was incredible.
That's amazing. And then back to that energy piece, we'll take the energy of our...
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
Well, I'm just saying that, as far as reincarnation goes, there's only one rule, and that's with source, all things are possible. And so, when somebody passes, it's so fascinating because it's like they come back in the same family if they can. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, Terri, can I talk to you a little bit about, can you share before we talk about your publications, how has it been? Because you and I both know for a very long time, I feel like it's getting better, but for a very long time, this is like, people think you're crazy when you engage in this work. They think that it's not real. They think you're just trying to make money off of people's, you know what I mean? Like, we have that whole... How over the years do you feel like it's getting better in terms of energy healing work? Do you feel like people are embracing it more? And what have been your experiences like on the negative front? And how did you move past it?
I really feel blessed because if somebody is closed off, my guides they just shake their head, like, don't even bother. Don't even bother. It ain't going to go anywhere. So don't even bother sharing it. Don't get on your soapbox and talk about energy healing. So it's sort of like you go where you have an open-minded audience. If you can tune into that. I think by basing it in physics, energy, frequency, and vibration, I think that makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And if you talk about how we're 99% energy and 1% physical, and look at the huge deficit in allopathic medicine, that all they've got is drugs and surgery. That's it. And so what do you do about the other 99% of yourself, of your being? that needs to have healing done. And I think that one of the biggest messages that I love to carry is the fact that disease is issues in the tissues. It is, and people tell me, oh yes, I have this disease, and I go, well, why do you have that? Like an idiot. Well, why don't you get rid of it? And they look at me like I've lost my mind. But I have so many clients that, I'm not supposed to use the cure word, that's the word. There's so many clients that were terminal that they've lived 20, 30 more years, and they're still going. They haven't died, because they're doing fine, because they've had energy healing, they've done energy healing, and they've dealt with their issues, and they've let go of their issues. And once you start realizing what disease is and what chakra and why, then you can let go of it.
Amazing. So Terri, can you talk to us about the different modalities that you do have? Because you do so many different things. So can you talk a little bit about all of your different modalities?
Well, as far as energy healing goes, I only use 2 modalities.
Okay.
One is a chakra clearing and balancing, and the other one involves expanding the energy field away from the body, looking for where there is lack of symmetry, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. And then you focus on release, only you do it really, really slow. And this method I got from my dear friend Gordon, and he taught it to me, and it's, oh my God, that one produces freaking miracles. It really does. It really does. And people can do it themselves. I always tell people, you want energy healing instructions, email me, I will send them to you. That is my gift to everybody. And I include what I call a medical intuitive handout, where you go chakra by chakra, sharing, what disease is and what chakra and what the emotional issues are, and, what you need to work on in order to release the disease process. Yeah. I was working with this gal one time, and it was a dear friend of mine, and she had pancreatic cancer, which of course is like a death sentence. And I thought, she's going to get this. She's going to beat this. She's got all of this energy medicine available at her disposal. She had 3 or 4 people she could work with, including me. And I thought, she's going to beat this. Until one day I went over to drop something off at her house, and she was cleaning out a shed, not like on her side yard. And I said, what are you doing? She said, and it was like she turned into Satan or something, like, I'm cleaning out all that. I mean, her voice changed, and it was all her late husband's effects. And she totally changed. And I looked at her and I went, that's why you have cancer. She said, what? I said, that is why you have cancer. He killed himself. She could never forgive him. She could never forgive him for killing himself, because she felt like it was personal to her, like she wasn't good enough for him to stay and deal with his stuff. And I just looked at her and I went, oh my God, that's your issue right there. Because that's a 3rd chakra thing. It's power, ego, and control, right? She died. She could never forgive him. And of course, now she's with him, so I guess it's fine. They're all reunited. But I have so many clients, like my sister was diagnosed with lymphoma. She was given 6 months to live. And I sent her to an energy healer that I use. And she had one session, called me from the airport. It's gone. I felt it leave my body. It's really weird when you feel something leave your body. It's almost like bubble wrap going off in your cells. It's the weirdest feeling. And she had a scan 2 weeks later, and the doctor called her up and said, what the hell did you do? And she tried to describe what she went through. And of course, I'm sure the doctor was just rolling his eyes and shaking his head, because it sounded pretty weird. But, we really need to shift or add in energy medicine to, we don't throw allopathic medicine out the window, but gosh, we've got to deal with the emotions that cause disease.
150%, right? Like, you and I know, everybody has decided, when we look at all of the trajectory of these illnesses, even when we talk about our mental, our mental ones like anxiety and how it lodges in in the body. What is it? What is manifesting in our body, right?
Absolutely.
Look, and it's a lodging of stuckness of emotion. Like that's exactly. I don't think there's anyone who can deny, and especially during this COVID period, how the anxiety has looked for everyone and where it gets lodged in our body. Everyone can say, I felt it in my neck and my shoulders. People talk about tension all the time. People have talked about how they literally, many of them who'd never even heard of a panic attack have felt symptoms in their body of heart racing or,
Sure.
So what is that? It's like you said, it's lodging of emotion. That's blockage.
Well, the brain is the best healing mechanism we have. And most of us only use 10%, some a little less. We know who you are. but we only use 10% of our brain. So why not use it to convince your body to heal? I mean, how simple could it be? And you know what I picture? Remember the people that would pick cotton and put cotton into long canvas sacks? They were like 10, 15 feet long because cotton doesn't weigh very much, so they could stuff the crap out of it, right? And I think of us all doing that with our negative emotions, that we've got that strap across our body and we're dragging this long canvas bag. And anytime we have our feelings hurt, anytime someone hurts us or insults us or whatever, we stuff it in that bag. And half the stuff we've made up and stuffed in there. It's our perception of things. And I really laugh because to me, all the happy stuff just flies like fairies around your head. But all the negative crap we put in that bag. And if somebody tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, why are you dragging that garbage around? Why don't you just cut that strap off and walk away from it? Every one of us to a number would grab that sack and go, no, this is my stuff, lest I forget. And so that garbage that we're all hauling around with us is what makes us sick.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, right? Every time I think about what, and then I can't hear about your take on the chakras, because when you do need an alignment or a reattunement, you just know when something's not right. And the more that you start to engage, the more that and I always say there's no, it's like mindfulness. There's no right or wrong way. Like it just energy works in a beautiful way, right? It's not like and to be honest with you, Terri, in the very beginning of my journey too, I wanted to get it right. So, and I had started on the Reiki journey, and I always wanted to get it right on the numbers of times that I need to draw the symbols and you know what happened? I was intellectualizing it. And then the minute that I let go of the intellectualization after my own leadership, and when they explained to me, no, this is let it just be that energy force it was designed to be. And I kid you not, after now it becomes second nature to you because you just follow your cues. Actually, the cues follow you. Sorry.
Right. The thing that I really want to caution people about is that most people have disease because they've lost their power. They become disempowered. And the caution I want to send out is, so if you've lost your power and you're going to lay on a massage table and someone else is going to heal you, guess what? You don't have your power back. You don't have your power back. So energy healing must be self-driven. It must be done by you for you. Can you have somebody coach you? Oh, heck yes, absolutely. Have somebody coach you through it. But the responsibility for the result, the responsibility for doing it still remains with the individual.
And thank you for highlighting that, right?
Right.
I think it's so important to know that essentially it does come down to us realizing all the potential we have within us. It's the same thing when we talk about doing the work. Like, what is the illness? It's the I and right, the I in illness and the we in wellness. So I often think, yeah, the wellness comes through us looking and reflecting what went wrong, how can we fix it within the eye. The person that knows us best is ourselves. And I
Yeah.
think we need to go to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, though, we have trouble really delving into what our truth is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things, especially negative things that impact second chakra, first chakra, those things happen in early childhood. So we have no conscious memory of them, but it's in there. So I always joke about having to take the lid off somebody's Pandora's box. And what's in there is going to be pretty yucky. But if you don't get the lid off and empty that box out, then you're going to stay sick.
Yeah, it's true.
And some people, they're in what's called negative pleasure. Ugh. They're enjoying being sick. They're enjoying being miserable. They're enjoying the attention that they're getting from having a dis-ease. And they don't even realize they're doing it. It's like the disease or the illness serves them in some way. They're getting some bang for their buck out of it.
It's a negative.
They don't even know they're doing it.
It's a negative feedback loop, right? Instead of a positive feedback loop. Terri, can you talk? Do I have an echo? Sorry. Can you talk to the audience about the 7 chakras and explain and you just your work with it and kind of like the emotions that kind of lie in each one, or however you want to best explain it, but I think it would be really helpful.
Well, the crown chakra is on the top of your head. And my feeling is that's your connection to source energy. You know, there is a divine. So that is our connection to source. And I call it source because it's the source of all life. Mm-hmm. And the things that we can get by having a distorted crown chakra would be brain tumors, brain cancers, headaches, migraines, those kinds of things. The next chakra is in the center of your forehead. That's your third eye, which people get confused between third chakra and third eye, but third eye is sixth chakra. I can't talk. And then I always think of that as what do I not want to look at? You know, what am I not looking at? You know, what do I not want to see? And this can affect vision, you know, all kinds of things. Again, you could have tumors there, you can have cancers there, vision problems. It's from not wanting to look at your issues, basically. And I still want to talk about the auditory processing area of the brain. We have problems with our ears. There's no specific chakra there, but we have we can have issues, you know, with our ears and things. And the issue is, I don't want to hear that. And I want to add the S word after that. I don't want to hear that, right? And it's a lot of times it's stuff about yourself that you don't want to hear about that you need to fix. And then the fifth chakra is your throat. Throat chakra would be thyroid, Hashimoto's, Graves, blockages in the arteries there that cause strokes and neck issues. And I always look at fifth chakra as not being willing to speak your truth. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it isn't, I'm not calling somebody a liar when I say that, but maybe they're not speaking their truth to themselves about themselves. You know, somebody's in a bad marriage and they go, oh, it's okay. No, it's not. Get the heck out of there. It's not okay. You know, that's, you know, when they're like lying to themselves. Oh, I'm not that overweight. That one's a good one. That's really, I'm not eating that bad. Those are like what I call fifth chakra issues. And then the next one is the heart chakra, which of course we know where the heart is, right in the center of the chest. And heart chakra issues are grief, loss, even serious disappointment. And the heart chakra really screws with a lot of us. We have to learn to be resilient. And if we don't bounce back from heartbreak, then the body goes, hey, let's give you breast cancer, or hey, let's give you heart disease. Or we have, you know, problems in the lungs, lung cancer. All of those are heart chakra related. Third chakra is the solar plexus. And that I look at as the power center, power, ego, and control. And so if somebody takes your power, it's going to impact your third chakra. Or if you're, say, a narcissist and you want to take other people's power, you're going to have just as many problems. And this affects stomach, pancreas, liver, gallbladder. I don't know, I'm probably missing something there. But just think of it as being disempowered is going to really impact that area. And that's, when you get the cancers in those areas and digestive issues. Oh, it's also small intestine too. I forgot that one. See, I knew it. And then second chakra, if you do this, 3 fingers and go right here below your belly button, that's where your second chakra is, just so you know exactly where it is. And second chakra is the sexual chakra, and it's also childhood issues. So, any female problems, female cancers, bladder problems, large intestine, hips, all of those things in that area, those are all childhood issues. And things can happen early on that we have no conscious memory of, like I said. There's an awful lot of molestation that goes on. I think it's 70% of all women. And it'll just glom onto that area. And if we don't deal with it and let go of it, then we end up with all kinds of female problems in that area. And then the base chakra is at the end of the tailbone. And it's really funny because in a lot of the drawings where you see somebody sitting cross-legged and it's just the outline of somebody, and then they've got, all the chakras down the body, that red dot looks like it's in your privates. It's not. It's at the base of the tailbones. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. I'm really glad you did that, because sometimes the visuals do.
Oh yeah, it's not right. No, it's not. It's at the base of the tailbone. And this one's so interesting to me because to me, it comes down to basic needs. It's family, home, shelter, having all of those things that we need, safety, trust, those kinds of things. And this one is fascinating to me because it impacts the adrenals. There's our fight or flight. It's the spinal cord and the coccyx and legs and feet and your bones, your rectum, all of those areas. And you can have all kinds of issues. Like if you had a rough childhood and your family was poor, oh my goodness, you're going to have first chakra issues. You really are.
I was thinking about Maslow's the pyramid. Actually, this morning I was reading something and about how powerful a pyramid is in terms of energy force and vital energy. And I was just thinking right now when you were talking about the root chakra, I was thinking about Maslow's theory, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That pyramid, I had a visualization in this moment. That's when you brought up family and needs and that root.
Yeah, Maslow's pyramid of need is a great resource, and I actually recommend that to a lot of my clients. Mm-hmm. Go look at it. I used to think the only needs we were allowed to have are air, water, food, shelter. Nope. As beings, we need a lot of stuff. And if we don't get it externally, then we have to develop it internally. And so Maslow's pyramid of need is a great resource, and it's all over the internet. You can just search for that and you'll get it. But it's really cool because if you look at it, then you can just go, I don't have that. Oh, I don't have that. Oh, I'm missing that. And then you realize why you're messed up.
I agree with you. It does allow for you for that evaluation. Like, again, when you were talking about even how you use the chakras for figuring out root causes or emotions that are housed, because when you look at what throat cancer looks like, or where stomach, what are they really? What is the body telling us? What hasn't been addressed? And I love that you're talking about the fact of emotions and like what a role it plays in disease. We cannot undermine this any longer.
You know, cells respond to emotions, and you cannot argue that. All you have to do is think about, how do you physically feel when you fall in love? Oh my goodness, you're lighter than air. Nothing hurts. Your feet don't touch the ground when you walk. You just feel etheric. You know what I mean? And when you're grieving, you might as well have cement overshoes on. Everything hurts. You can't move your feet. Everything is an effort. And it's because the brain has told the cells how to feel.
Totally. It's true. I mean,
why do we not get that?
I still don't understand it. I don't know if I've already shared on air or not, Terri. I think it was the 3rd month after my mom passed, and I was having those psychosomatic. I mean, I know about grief, but I still check myself into the ER. I was like, what the hell is happening to me?
Oh yeah.
You know, because it was like I literally felt like I was in so much pain in my body. It was out of control. I'd lost all this weight. And I have to tell you, the journey of what emotion can do to our body, how it tears it down. Especially, you brought up the heart. Yes, like I don't think many of us underestimate how much when that broken heart syndrome, that broken heart chakra, and how that feels and what it does to our system.
Well, it's actually a real illness now, and they're seeing it a lot in the ERs. I giggle when I see these articles because I think, you got a freaking broken heart. And they actually have it's called broken heart syndrome, and it will cause all kinds of rhythmic problems, and people end up having to get put on medicines and things, all because they're grieving and they don't have any way to deal with the grief. And there are very productive ways you can deal with grief. And sorry for laughing about this, but if we realize that our animals and human friends and loved ones have just lost their shells, or I joke and call it a meat suit, and that they're still with us, they haven't left us, and they still love us. And if we can develop that awareness, develop our own, intuition, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, and clairaudience, if we can develop that, then we can realize they haven't gone anywhere. They're still here. But everything negative in them has been shed off and left behind. So when my mom died, she woke me up. I wrote the time down. And she said, I did it. And I said, you left your body? She said, yes. And then she hauled off and hit me right in my bicep. She used to hit us kids, even when we were adults, in our bicep. I said, why do you hit us there? She goes, because it doesn't show. I mean, that's the kind of stinker my mom was.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And she said, everybody's here and it's wonderful and it's amazing. And she goes, they look good. I mean, she was really surprised at how good everybody looked. And then she says, I have your pig, because I had a pet pig. She goes, I got all your horses and I'm not afraid. And I said, good. Because our favorite thing as teenagers was to hand her a lead rope and go, I'll be right back. And she'd go, oh, because she was afraid of horses.
No.
And so she said, coffee at 8. And I said, you got it. Next morning, I wake up and I'm doing chores, get back in the house, and my eyes are immediately drawn to the microwave, the clock in the microwave, and it was straight up 8 o'clock. And it was like she was holding a coffee cup up going, coffee? Because we used to always talk on the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we still do it every morning.
Yeah.
We still have coffee.
It is amazing when you start looking at those. And it's when you talk about the idea of like when we really pay attention and signs and symbols and metaphors, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think if people realize the only thing they're lacking is that 1% physical form, that you can still talk to them, you can still interact, and the only thing they can't help with is negative stuff. They can't help with problems. But because they can't perceive anything negative from the other side, it wouldn't be heaven if they could. Mm-hmm. They don't see us grieving, but every time we say I love you, they say I love you too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we never lose that connection to them. It's, I almost feel like I miss out on grieving in some ways, because any person or animal that's deceased, all I have to do is think about them, and I know they're right here with me.
Mhm.
And it's always warm and tingly when they're around. It's never cold like you see in the movies.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always warm and tingly. Like, they'll even touch you. There's some nights where I'm just about to fall asleep and I can feel my mom lift up my bangs and kiss my forehead.
Oh my goodness.
That's so weird. I go, love you, Mom.
Love it.
Isn't that cool?
So cool. Okay, Terri, in our final moments together, we have like 5 minutes. Can you share your publications and, and authorship and what that role has played in your life?
I happen to have my book here. This is my first book. And this is The Cowgirl Shaman Way, 7 Easy Steps to Develop Your Intuitive Ability. And this book is for everybody. I mean, I'm pretty plain spoken, and this book is plain spoken. There's no woo-woo in it at all. It's how you can use physics to develop your intuitive abilities. And this is for everybody. And this one's really fun because it'll teach you how to communicate with your animals, whether it's dogs, cats, horses, pets, and you can communicate with them even if they're on the other side. So it's very, very healing stuff. And a lot of it's pretty funny too.
Oh, nice.
So that one's for everybody.
Mhm.
This one is just recently out. I'm trying to not have a glare on it. This one's Intuitive Communication, communicating with people that cannot. And these are some of the disabilities, here that prevent somebody from being able to communicate. And this one is for first responders, medical personnel, and caregivers. We have so many people, 7 to 9 million people in the United States that cannot communicate due to illness, injury, or disease. Traumatic brain injuries, Alzheimer's, coma. There's so many. And this book has the same method, but goes through telling you how it's different, how it's very different and how to reach people. Just the case studies in here, I read back through them sometimes and I go, I did that? Because they're so bizarre. They're so bizarre. And they're true. And we have some people that, of course, never woke up and went on to the other side. And we have other people that woke up out of comas and went home. So lots of really good case studies in this.
Nice. Where can we find these beautiful people?
Both of them are on Amazon.
Amazon.
Yep. So The Cowgirl Shaman Way and Intuitive Communication, and they can really help you to heal yourself and heal your life and develop this ability at reading people and animals and, all kinds of things. I love it. It can be overwhelming, once you sort of start doing this. If I go out in public, I look like I have really poor self-esteem because my eyes are down. I am not making eye contact with anybody. Because if I make eye contact, I know way too much.
Mm. Yes. But I'm glad you have a protective mechanism to keep yourself here. What are your parting thoughts for our audience today, Terri, and where can we find you?
Just my website is the best way to contact me. You can email me through there. You can register if you want to have a reading done. You can sign up for my newsletter. And I really encourage people to look at the press kit, because in the press kit are tons and tons of videos, the sizzle reel for my TV show. And I'm in a show, I'm in somebody else's show that's going to be on a streaming network, which I'm real excited about. My readings are in there. And I'm playing myself. It's kind of a stretch, but I'm going to try and do it. And then I'm coming out in a lot of print media about April. I'm in a lot of print media. And some of it's horse related and other is just about ghosts, which is, don't get me going. But it's really fun.
Oh, nice. Terri, thank you so much for the gift of your time and really reminding us all how intuition, and I know the title of the show is medical, and it is true that you're reminding everyone when they are undergoing disease that you can be your healer for changing your life.
Yeah, and if anybody wants the energy healing, they just have to email me, and I'm happy to send it to you. And it'll be 4 parts: the chakra diagram, chakra clearing and balancing, the energy healing modality, and then the medical intuitive handout is in there. So you'll get all of it.
Wonderful. All right, Terri, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful week ahead.